All right, just when you thought that Eurovision was the worst controversy of the last 12 months, apparently the Grammys were like, America! And they said, hold our beer. And then they delivered the biggest pile of hot garbage of the music industry since 1990? I think it's 1990. If you don't get the reference, I'll explain it to you in a bit. For me to explain the projectile vomit that is the Grammys, you have to understand Old School Nerd and who I am and why this YouTube channel even exists. I am literally a product of the 70s, 80s, and the early 90s in metal and rock and pop and rap. And it was a time where the music industry controlled everything, all right? There were the Grammys, the People's Choice Awards, American Music Awards, MTV Music Awards, and back then there was no internet. So whatever the industry said was cool, everyone just believed it because they were the music industry out of Hollywood. And of course they had to know. And then MTV came out of New York and there was kind of a rivalry there. And after a while, the music industry said, you know what, MTV, don't be making music anymore because we say what goes. And then MTV stopped putting music videos out. Did you notice that? Yeah, it's because the music industry didn't like another voice. All the award shows, People's Choice, American Music, Grammys, they're all run by the same group of powerful record labels, executives, producers, publishers. And, you know, the current generation that's out there doesn't remember it, so they don't know. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, whatever was on the radio, whatever was on MTV, that was it. That's all you knew. And now, with streaming services and YouTube and a whole bunch of global mid, lower level record labels out there, and even people that are independent artists, you have a lot of creative music out there that has nothing to do with the music industry. And so now you have something to compare it to. Old School Nerd is a YouTube channel from an old dude that lives in the United States that completely dumped radio, MTV, and pretty much all popular music from every genre back about 1995. I just left. I went and I did my whole classic rock journey with, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, the Stones. I did that journey. And then I got into folk music and funk music and jazz, the high forms, right? And then someone said, right around 2019, 2018, dude, have you checked out any metal music lately? And I was like, no, not at all. I don't need some money machine telling me that something is good when it's not. Now remember, this is before Rush was ever in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 35 years late. So my thought processes of what good music was had started going to more of the progressive, eclectic, storytelling, musicianship versus what was popular. So someone said you got to check out some of the metal music that's out now. Apparently, now that YouTube is a big thing and streaming services are taking over how people consume music versus album sales, artists have a chance to get their music out without having to be part of the machine and the machine controlling the artist. Really? And so this entire YouTube channel was built for the purpose of finding what music is out there that is not pushed down your throat because someone says it's popular. Weird thing is, this has been an amazing journey, and I've met hundreds of thousands of people, tens of millions of views on my channel from people all around the world, and to this day, I still can't go down the street and tell someone, hey, have you ever heard of Electric Callboy? They're like, what? No. What is that? I walk down the street. Hey, have you ever heard of Baby Metal? Is that the little kids that did the chocolate thing? I saw them once on Stephen Colbert. The hell, man? Like, for real? Like, and those are just two examples of how there's amazing music around the world, and America is completely oblivious to it. Now, the thing about it was, I thought we were getting better, and I kind of ignored it. But then, into 2024, Eurovision kind of exposed themselves. Let me give you an example. For all the horror of COVID, the pandemic that caused the chaos around the world, one thing that came out of it was the entire world woke up to realize, you know what? Maybe governments lie to us. You think, maybe we don't need to believe everything they say. Maybe, yeah, right, yeah. And then all of a sudden, people are like, it's time for Eurovision. And Eurovision had someone that everybody said, this person needs to win. Nope, we're going to give it to Sweden. Why? I don't know. Because it's political. There's a bunch of money involved. There's influence. It's a vote, but it's not really up to you. Yeah. And that kind of got exposed this year in Eurovision. And I'm thinking, at least we can watch the Grammys. That's pretty good, right? Whoa. Okay, so now the Grammys has exposed themselves once again, but this time it was so ridiculous. Here's just a few of the examples that made us all laugh our asses off just a couple days ago. Now, there are some amazing good points that happened. Then there's some points that made us go, yeah. And then there were some points that made us go, okay, go ahead and try to explain that off. We're going to talk about the weird. We're going to talk about the stuff that makes no sense. And then we're going to talk about a few of the highlights and things that made me go, all right. At least some of the people in the building aren't full of crap, and that's important. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Now, weirdest moment of the night for me was everybody was all about Taylor Swift's going to win again. She's going to win Album of the Year again. She's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. And everyone was saying that so much that when she didn't, she was the only person that was excited that she didn't win. Because everyone just assumed. Then, okay, another point that made me laugh a little bit was they announced the country artists. Now, here's the thing. Beyonce won Country Artist of the Year. That shot up there is not a joke. That's actually the look on her face when they announced the Country Music Artist of the Year was Beyonce. Here's the problem. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Beyonce's album, her country album, sold more copies than almost any other country artist this last year because it's freaking Beyonce. And her country album, for a country album, wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. But was she the country artist of the year? No, she's not. And she knows she's not. Why? She's Queen Bee. She's not a country artist. She's a pop icon. But she won. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are like, oh no, Beyonce won Country Artist of the Year. All the country music industry is going to hate her. And the country fans are going to be so mad. And it's going to be such a backlash. Nope, they did it to themselves. Why? Because country music industry, the industry of country music out of Nashville, is the last bastion of absolute control over a genre of music. Country music is one of the few last genres that is completely industry and radio play controlled to this day. They're still doing it old school. Now, granted, they're putting in rap, they're putting in country music, they're putting in metal artists. They're doing anything they can to make a lot of cheddar, and they're really, really good about it. But for those people who have loved country music and grew up listening to country music, there's a few out there that are just the stalwarts, and the rest of it is getting a little bit bananas. Nashville has literally become MTV. And it's like TRL back in the day. You never knew what was going to happen. surprise guests, and yeah, Carson Daly's out there doing some crazy crap. By the way, Carson Daly has nothing to do with the Nashville music scene, but Nashville cannot, the country fans, you cannot get mad at this. The Nashville record labels that want to know why a Hollywood record label just scored Country Artist of the Year in the Grammys? No, 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 no. You don't get to complain. You did this to yourselves. You made country music the biggest mainstream industry-controlled genre that there is. If you want to be a country artist, you better Weinstein the right person up in Nashville or you don't got a shot. That's still to this day. Now, if you don't like that, check my facts. Do you see a country out there or artist out there doing it on merit? No, it's a hype machine. Country artists are using the same exact template as a certain young woman who has dominated the music industry for the last 10 years. Here's the thing. This is why I left music 30 years ago. Because it's ridiculous. Now, that was a ridiculous moment. Another ridiculous moment was the red carpet as artists were entering into the venue. It's a ridiculous moment, but yet it's a highlight at the same time. And it was a highlight that I thought to myself, yes, thank you, you're golden. Courtney from Spirit Box. Judas Priest comes in, does their thing, interview, for the Grammys. Oh my God, Judas Priest, whatever. Courtney comes up wearing this, was it latex or leather, patent leather? I don't know what it was, but the dress she was wearing was Courtney. It was 100% crazy. Now the problem is, the people that are in charge of the Grammys pay so little attention to anything. They pay attention to everything. Do you think they're going to confuse Kendrick Lamar with Drake? No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to start that crazy beef again. But Poppy, white, brunette, girl in black. Okay. Courtney, white girl, brunette in black. Literally, without skipping a beat, the interviewer was like, oh my God, heavy metal royalty, it's Poppy. Poppy, aren't you excited? And I'm just like, and you could see the look on Courtney's face said, I should be mad, but this is comedy gold. Did she, and I'm not sure if she was confused that the interviewer misidentified her as Poppy or the fact that she said, oh my God, metal royalty in the word Poppy. Poppy is not metal royalty. Robert Halford and Judas Priest, that's metal royalty. They've been in the game for 40 years. Okay? Poppy is not an established, iconic, long-term metal artist. She's a conceptual artist that does pop. She does experimental. She does a little bit of everything. She just happened to have the most amazing collaboration on Jimmy Kimmel this year. And it was freaking epic. It was an amazing thing that occurred on Jimmy Kimmel. But anyway, Courtney's face says everything. She's like, yeah, I'm Poppy, and I'm just happy to be nominated with these with Knocked Loose without missing a beat. Dry as hell, perfect delivery. She didn't give crap to the interviewer. She like a champ. Courtney from Spirit Box, 100% like a boss. Did it perfect. With all the class that we want our metal people to have. I mean, if you're going to represent metal, that's how you do it. Not to be outdone, Gojira did too. Now, by the way, for those who are wondering, yes, the metal nominees for Metal Performance Artist of the Year was a stacked list of... No, it was just 4 people. It was just 4. It was just 4. And it was Judas Priest, which is weird, because Judas Priest did have a good album this year. But for some reason, the Grammys keep putting artists from the 70s and early 80s when there was no metal category. And it seems like they feel really bad because they can't give a metal nod to Iron Maiden because there was no metal thing in 1982, right? So it's like they put one in because this year, Judas Priest kind of carried the banner of a new album for the traditional metal that Hollywood and the music industry remembers from the 80s and the 70s. That's all I could think of. And then Knock Loose, which is a really, really good band. Congratulations to them. And they were nominated because they were the most hyped performance on Jimmy Kimmel. And I don't know what that has to do with the Grammys, but apparently it has to do a lot. Then you have probably the most successful metalcore, progressive modern metal band in America, / Canada, / wherever, Spirit Box. They're the darlings. And then Gojira from France. Now, here's the thing. For me, We Were Born for One Thing should be the Grammy-winning song, but of course that was 3 years ago. But you cannot deny Gojira's participation in the Olympics. It was the talk of everything. It was the most viral moment, other than that dude that competed for France in pole vaulting with 2 poles. Other than that, Gojira's video was the most iconic metal moment of last year. Period. It just was. It put metal literally in everybody's face, and nobody could avoid metal. For exactly 3 minutes and 14 seconds, the entire world said, "Holy crap! Is that fire? Is that dude, like, is he strapped to the wall of the, yeah. Whoa, is that a boat? That's a boat." It was so iconic that Will Smith's kid put his hair looking like the building that Gojira was anchored to for that performance. See, it's right there. It's either that or he's trying to get on the next season of Wednesday. I don't know, but that was another odd moment. So, okay, so Gojira wins, and the Duplantier brothers, the Duplantier brothers are amazing, okay? And this is why Gojira won twice this year. For me, they won twice. I'm going to tell you one that everyone probably saw at the Grammys, and I'm going to tell you another one that made me feel like, okay, sometimes when you get really, 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 really popular, even if you're a metal artist, the industry changes you because you have to capitulate to the needs of the masses and the money and the influence and the publishers and the promoters, right? It happens to everybody. The ones that don't play ball, they disappear. It sucks, but yeah, okay. Gojira becomes the most iconic metal band in the world during the Olympics, and then they win the Grammy. Joe gets up there to accept the award. Mario's standing behind him, and Joe just says, "We dedicate this award to the creative bands, to the bands that are out there making unique music, like what Gojira does. The independent artists, the up-and-coming bands." He just said it in a way that said, all this crap is not metal. All this money-driven chaos hype machine, that's not metal. Those of you out there, all these bands right here, all these albums up here, none of these albums are at the Grammys. These are metal. This is real metal. The people out there that are creating a sound, something no one's ever seen before, something that's completely unique. A band like Bloodywood, a band like Electric Callboy. There are bands out there that their type of music no one's ever seen, and only those of us that are paying attention to the creative metal that's going on around the world see what's going on. Now, here's the thing. All that's going on, Joe's moment was amazing. Because essentially what he just did in his speech was pretty much tell the Grammys, you should just get rid of the metal category now, because now we're going to start pointing out that you guys don't know what you're doing. It's pretty much what he said. And my favorite part about it is, if you think about it, at least Gojira won. Because what if Judas Priest had won? What if a band whose greatest work was in the 70s and the 80s, and they won a Grammy for new music now? It would almost be like, you know, it would be unheard of, except for the Grammys, who in the very first iteration of the metal category took a band from 20 years before and had them win over Metallica, Jethro Tull. So it's not like you can trust the Grammys to do anything like that. And just to make sure that, you know, no one's losing track of it, the only thing more ridiculous than the metal category was the rock category. So at this point, the Grammys are a running joke to me, because you had highlights like Gojira winning because they were the most viral band in the world. Okay? Now here's the thing. Gojira winning Best Metal Band, that's awesome. I love that. I'm a huge fan of Gojira. I listen to Gojira music all the time. They're one of my favorite bands from France. And they deserve it. They brought metal to that center point in the world. For that one moment, the entire world was a metal fan because of Gojira. Winning that Grammy was awesome. I do feel bad for Courtney, but she handled it like a champ. Because I got to be honest with you, if this would have been 1990 and an interviewer would have asked Axl Rose and called him James Hetfield, Axl would have punched that interviewer in the throat. I mean, that would have happened, you know. But you know what? It just seems like the American music industry is so out of touch with music. If you look at all the performances last night, they were all about viral moments. The entire Grammys was for TikTok more than it was for music. Okay, there's this guy, his last name was like Benson or something, a pop artist or whatever, he's a guy. He stands up wearing clothes, and Nikki Glaser and I don't know the other woman, that they pull his clothes off. If you go back and watch it, Nikki Glaser goes to pull his pants off and grabs his schlong, grabs his junk. Her hand comes off real fast and he pulls his pants off himself, and you realize why she grabbed it. It's technically bigger than his left thigh. So, sorry, Nikki, you need to go wash your hand. So, the chaos of the Grammys just reiterates to me that we're doing the right thing. If you want to find music that is creative, that is new, it just seems to me that the only way you're going to get an accolade like the Grammys is if you do something so outlandish, you become more viral than anyone else. Other than that, you have no shot. Gojira did their job and they honored their country in the Olympics and gave the best performance to show the chaos, the vengeance, the passion, and the anger and the savagery of the French Revolution in the most artistic way possible. And it worked. Spiritbox has been playing show after show, showing what they show, and it works. Judas Priest is still touring. They're tearing it up, and it works. All of those things are true, but if you're going to tell me that there are not 150, 200 metal bands that are doing everything Gojira is doing, everything Spiritbox is doing, and everything Judas Priest is doing to the same level or better right now, we are the only people that are noticing it, because the Grammys has no clue what's going on at all. Now, I know I could probably talk all night about how bad this thing was, but I don't really need to. X is exploding. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all the different social medias are buzzing about how bad the Grammys, it was just bad. The way they treated metal last night was garbage, and they know it. Did the right person win? Yeah, Gojira had the best performance. They're one of the best metal bands in the world. There's no denying that. There's also no denying that the music industry in America is absolute garbage. Case in point, this is an actual posting on X from Sumerian Records, where they show on Spotify the kick-ass metal playlist, Poppy is in the top tier of today's best metal playlist, and the top spot of that playlist is Spirit Box. And then, of course, because it's so... And by the way, those who don't know, Sumerian is one of the more predominant mid-major metal labels in the world, particularly in Europe. And not to be outdone, Sumerian posts it, and Rise Records, another amazing mid-major metal-focused record label that has amazing artists that I love to listen to. Yep, listening to the Spotify Kick-Ass Metal playlist featuring Poppy of Spirit Box. You know what? When the members of the music industry that are not allowed in your Hollywood clique make fun of you, that just makes everything better. And this is how metal looks at the Grammys. Gojira won the Grammy. The members of Gojira, the amazing vocalist, the female vocalist that joined them, the amazing male vocalist that joined them for that Olympic performance, they're grateful. They're honored that they got a Grammy. It's an achievement of your career and an accolade. But if you remember, Joe's acceptance speech is just the culmination of how Gojira has taken this entire hype train since that moment in Paris. Why? Go back and read Mario Duplessis' X feed during the Olympics. When their moment went viral, Mario was like, man, my inbox is flooded with everybody saying how awesome we are and wow, this is amazing. Da, 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 da. He could have sat there and he could have just let his head get big. He could have let it all go out. Go follow Mario on X. Go back to the Olympic run and look at all of his tweets or whatever during that entire Olympic run. He trolls every news outlet, every big record producer, all the promo people, all the hype people, doing all these posts. Oh, Mario from Gojira, blah, blah, blah. He would just reply with, if you'd like more information on the Church of Satan, please contact us. Look, he just totally meddled the hell out of it. He trolled everyone for 2.5 weeks. It was amazing. Do metal artists appreciate the accolade? Yes, you work your butt off. You sacrifice everything for your music, and to achieve greatness, to achieve accolades on the highest level that people think is important, it is. It's something you can put on your mantle, and from now on, when you walk out, Grammy Award-winning artist, Gojira. But at the end of the day, that post right there, making fun of how bad the Grammys dropped the ball with Courtney and Poppy and that whole situation, was reiterated by Joe from Gojira in his acceptance speech. They're dedicating it to the bands that are never going to see the Grammys. They're dedicating it to all the bands around the world that are never going to get that big hype push. They're never going to be on the Grammys. Gojira took their shot. They were in the Olympics. They became world famous. They took that shot to tip the hat and to remind all of you, every band that I react to, every band I've talked to, all the music metal fans, Gojira honored all of metal as a global community to say, we dedicate this to the bands that are creating different, unique sounds and visions in metal. That's what it's about. So of all the craziness that I just showed you, at the end of the day, thank God that we had Courtney and we had Gojira to represent metal last night. Because in the 2 opportunities where they could have made metal look really goofy, they made metal look like the only sane people at the party. Metal, known for crazy guys from the UK that bite heads off bats. And crazy guys that run around with bandanas on their heads and throw beer bottles at people. I'm just saying, you know? We picked the right two to represent us, right? And thanks, Courtney. Awesome. Gojira, always a fan. Do we even go next year? Do we just go? We would go, but I'm afraid I'm going to be like misidentified, you know? Because if I go to the Grammys next year and somebody goes, everybody, YouTube royalty, Mr. Beast, I'm going to go, yeah, I'm 100% him. Absolutely. I just built another 5,000 water wells in Africa. I did that. I did that. Get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you enjoyed this video, give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Also, if you want to subscribe, right over there. A big thank you to all my Patreons out there for everything you do. And if you want more content like this, check them out above. Remember, love one another, take care of each other. We're all stuck on this mud ball together. We'll see you later.